do that?
How did you get by the laser field in the Great Hall?
Aha. The laser fields. Well,
Evening. So, reviewing the timeline here, and I just came across another spooky thing with the videos going on. And though maybe other people don't see it, I'm hoping you will, because something funny is going on, and I wanted to share it with you. I thought, this is a computer error or streaming error or whatever, blah, blah. No, this is not, in fact, so. Okay, so what do we know? We know that the RCMP say that he left through a field. And I don't know if you guys happen to catch this stream. Maybe I can play the downloaded version that I have of it. I got a few copies of it, different people, global and stuff. Morning, evening, whatever time it is, I don't know. Rain sack, Rogan's. Okay. Well, I'll take the likes. Howdy, hillbilly Aussies in the house, Bella. Slippin', what's up, buddy? Oi. KG. Little Miss So. Always Owen Loretta. Good stuff. Okay, so I was going back and I'm trying to piece together the timeline as best as possible. The RCMP are not a lot of details, right? They don't want to give you a lot of details because they don't want to be culpable. That's the whole problem here. So I was like, okay, they say that he left through a field and whatever. And this was playing in the background when I was reading through Global's timeline. And I'm just piecing together the different ones, CBC, Global, whatever. And this was playing in the background. And then all of a sudden it started to do some funny things. And I was like, ooh, what's this? So let's see if we can get this to go here. I hope the audio works well. And I've got it at the right point. Critical, buddy. What's up? Paul. What's going on? So, Critical, you've been working hard, buddy. I know Cage talked to you. Maybe we should get together sometime. Good minds think alike, right? All right. Well, my mind's not the best all the time, but let's see.
That the suspect had left the area at 5:43 in the morning, traveling northbound on Highway 4 on his way to Wentworth. That distance was approximately 40.
Let's go back a little bit here. Now, listen to and watch the video carefully.
There was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to, we are making a plea to anyone in that area if they had seen anything
Did you catch that? It'll go a little bit more.
Suspicious to please contact the police. We've obtained video evidence that shows that the suspect had left the area at 5:43 in the.
So let's go back here. This is where he's saying that supposedly somebody told the RCMP that he left through a field at 10:35.
The police. We've obtained video evidence that shows that the suspect had left the area at 5:43 in the morning. Image. So after receiving the first 911 call just after 10 o'clock, Officers arrived in the Porta Peak area around 10:26 in the evening. This information lead us to Bleak area through a field at approximately 10:35. So if you note there on the image that I provided, there was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to, we are making a plea to anyone in that area if they had seen anything.
Did you guys catch that? Did you catch that? This is like the dying mic and the problems with the CBC video with Clinton Ellison. There's spooky shit going on, man, with this stuff. I have the original global copy of this. So this is absolute, and it was all one feed. So CPAC, everybody got the same feed. So this business that there's a problem with the stream, no, that's not true. Let's listen to it again. Watch and listen closely. If I can back it up again to the correct point. So it's gonna mess up where he's saying that the guy left through a field and the video evidence.
At this point in our investigation, this is what we believe. If we can get you to refer to the first image. So after receiving the first 911 call, just after 10 o'clock, officers arrived in the Porta Peak area around 10:26 in the evening. This information lead us to Bleak area through a field at approximately 10:35. So if you note there on the image that I provided, there was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to, we are making a plea to anyone in that area, if they had seen anything suspicious, to please contact.
Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because I've seen a whole bunch of this going on. And their story starts to fall apart around this time because he's supposedly going off and he's having a snooze in D-Bird. Balls! What happened was they locked him in that area and he killed and murdered and burned people to death. And the RCMP were at the end of the road. They made a tactical decision not to go in. Several RCMP officers, good ones, went in and did something. They disobeyed. To the best of my knowledge, this is exactly what happened. It seems to be verified out of the McLean's article. You know, I was saying this before, right? Fairly early on. I'm like, I think this is what happened. Because how is he running around with these gas cans, driving up and down roads at 5 kilometers in distance with a police car, which they knew right from the onset? Don't fool yourself. Listen to what they say. They say it themselves. The first person that they encountered when they got the call at 10:01 and they responded by 10:26, the first person that they encountered going down the road was a man who said that he had been shot by a person in an RCMP cruiser. So it was right away they knew the RCMP cruiser. They knew who that was, because that was Wortman. They were aware of Wortman and his monkey business. Let's see if we can find so that is the 28th, I believe, right? Let's see if we can find the original global copy that I downloaded. It's good that you download things. You have to in these cases. Like Clinton Ellison. We'll just go through and scrub out a minute of that video. They did it also in another press conference, scrubbed out a minute of that video. And I found yesterday when I was comparing different streams, CBC and CTV both conveniently voiced over, and said, you're joining CBC, you're joining CTV for a live stream of the RCMP press conference, blah, 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 when somebody was asking about the hit list. and then it goes right back to him at the same point, both of them. How convenient that gets wiped out, and then his response is, I can't give a crystal ball answer on those kinds of things. So nobody got the question except the people that watch CPAC. Let's see if we can find the original copy. The man was washing his car. That's right, Mr. Money Pay. He's washing the car after driving through the field because it's so nice and clean, right? Right. Good brains. Good brains we have over here. Press conferences, April 28th. Where's the global one? Where is the global one? Is this global? Oh, what's going on here?
I'm Corporal Jennifer Clark, spokesperson for Nova Scotia RCMP, and I will be your moderator for this news conference. Bonjour et bienvenue. Je suis la caporale Jennifer Clark, porte-parole de la GRC.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't have a problem
Et je
because
serai
I've watched this a
votre
few times.
modératrice.
How early on was it? Right about here, right?
Believe. If we can get you to refer to the first image. So after receiving the first 911 call, just after 10 o'clock, officers arrived in the Porta Peak area around 10:26 in the evening. This information gathered lead us to Bleak area through a
They
field
did it on this one
at
too.
approximately 10:35.
Oh, I never noticed
on
this.
The image that I provided, there was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to, we are making a plea to anyone in that area if they had seen it.
So it was Global that did it. Let's see another edition of this. Is this CPAC?
Investigation and what we learned
CBC.
I just
this is later.
we expect the witness list to grow.
So this isn't that. Which one is this one? Global. Who's this?
Good afternoon and welcome.
At this point in our investigation,
I know I've heard the correct copy.
established through the efforts of our investigative teams. At this point in our investigation, this is what we believe. If we can get you to refer to the first image.
But you can see it's the same camera feed, right?
Call,
they only have one.
10 o'clock. Officers arrived in the Porta Peak area around 10:26 in the evening. This information gathered since the incidents occurred lead us to believe that the gunman had actually left the Porta Peak area through a field at approximately 10:35. If you note there on the image that I provided, there was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to determine through video evidence that the gunman had actually traveled a distance of approximately 26 kilometers.
Do you see what I'm talking about? This is the exact same feed. They're all using the same feed, CBC, CPAC. And I've gone through and I've compared different copies of different stuff, and they fuck with this shit. Global, of course, gets the most views. I don't even know, where's the CBC copy of this one? This is it. Let's see if there has some issue.
And what we learned to this point, I just wanted to hide.
Why is this? Okay, here we go. Let's see what theirs does. I usually do it by comparing the audio and seeing if there's a blip in it.
This information has been established through the efforts of our investigative teams. At this point in our investigation, this is what we believe. If we can get you to refer to the first image. So after receiving the first 911 call, just after 10 o'clock, officers arrived in the Porta Peak area around 10:26 in the evening. This information gathered since the incidents occurred lead us to believe that the gunman had actually left the Portapique area through a field at approximately 10:35. So if you note there on the image that I provided, there was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to determine through video evidence that the gunman had actually traveled a distance of approximately 26 kilometers, where he actually entered into an area in Debert, which is an industrial area. He arrived at that location at 11:12.
Okay, so this isn't me putting on tinfoil. I'm telling you, people, I've seen it too much now. I'm going to put together a compilation of all these different kind of fuck-ups that the media keep having. Oh, my camera doesn't work. The Clinton Ellison one is pretty interesting, not just for the minute that they deleted, but there was also a bit of a camera error on theirs. Let's see if we can find that. Clinton Ellison. Oh, where are you? You're disappeared, just like everybody. So here's the 9-minute, 15-second version.
10 o'clock, they went upstairs to go to bed. Me and my brother were upstairs listening to music, talk, pain and suffering.
Where was it? He talks about 4 a.m. and the camera suddenly starts farting right there. You see it? Watch.
I was just allowed to come down today to get my vehicle finally.
There, that's the Saturday night into the Sunday. Know what was happening entirely.
The armored personnel carrier got me. Yeah.
What did they say?
They said that there was a gun on the loose. Yeah, gunman on the loose. Approximately 4 a.m. I finally got up with the whole ordeal at 4 a.m. and started around 10:30.
What have policemen telling you?
Pardon?
What have policemen telling you?
Nothing. Basically nothing.
So go and verify these for yourself. You know, all you have to do is put in Clinton Ellison on CBC, and you can go and look at the video. It's going to be the doctored video, obviously, with the minute missing where he's going off on the RCMP. But they still kept in this little piece where there's the seizing video when he's describing getting picked up and what all was happening at that point in time. And they left in another key part here, which was that he heard explosions and gunfire for hours, which is really great. They didn't mess up that part, but all this revolves around the fact that what happened and how did he get out of Portapique, because there's roadblocks. They set up roadblocks, multiple roadblocks all over the place. And Mr. Wortman was able to get through those. Just wave him through. He's driving a cruiser, let him go. Even though they know right from the onset, listen, it was a person who encountered him who got shot, was shot from the first person, was shot from an RCMP cruiser. And then shortly thereafter, they determined that there were bodies. And they never told anybody. They just left their stupid cat tweet. And then an hour later, they told you on Twitter, well, we have a weapons complaint. But by this point, you have 5 structure fires. But I don't think so. I don't think you have 5. That's going to happen. But you have probably 2 structure fires by this point, and you have multiple bodies. You don't have a weapons complaint. But Mr. Ellison had to sit there until 4 a.m., which is what he says. It's not until 4 a.m. until the armored personnel cruiser comes and gets him. That was when all the police went in. There were lots of good ones who went in and disobeyed orders. But Mr. Ellison says 4 a.m. in the 4 a.m. armored personnel cruiser came and got me. Now, what was cut out of there? Who knows? That would be really interesting to see.
just allowed to come down today to get my vehicle finally.
We're there. That's the Saturday night into the Sunday. Know what was happening entirely.
Went to the armored personnel carrier company. And
What did they say?
they said that there was a gun on the loose. Yeah, gunman on the loose. Approximately 4 a.m. I finally got out of the whole ordeal at 4 a.m. and started around 10:30.
So I don't know how to communicate that other than by showing it. But you're gonna keep seeing the problems with the video and the feeds because their case has so little weight. What is Campbell showing you as evidence that Mr. Wortman was out? Right? What was it? Let's go timeline. Timeline. Where is that photo? D-Bird. Let's just try it. D-Bird. This was what they have provided to the media. Honestly, this is your proof. This is your proof that Mr. Wortman was out and about and you just got there too late. Are you serious? Are you serious? With all the fucking lying that's going on by them, and if you don't see the lying, dig. And look at this. This is supposedly, as you can see, is a cropped picture, cropped surveillance photo. You can't tell what time that is. It has no time stamp on it. It has no date stamp on it, let alone being able to identify exactly what this car is. It could be a taxi cab. I don't know that that's a police cruiser. Do you? Can you tell me what time this is? Can you tell me that's Mr. Wortman driving the vehicle? This is their video evidence. That's what he's referring to. Based on video evidence that we have, which we'll show you a still, which is really fuzzy and grainy, even he admits that. Believe us, Mr. Wortman wasn't running around and shooting and burning people alive down in Portapique while we were sitting at the end of the road. Trust us here. And then Global is going to come along and edit that video. Saying about the field. Because, of course, people can't drive through fields. We have to use our brains.
Officers arrived in the Portapique area around 10:26 in the evening. This information gathered lead us to Bleak area through a field at approximately 10:35. So if you note there on the image that I provided, there was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to, we are making a plea to anyone in that area. If they had seen anything suspicious, to please contact the police. We've obtained
the same feed that CPAC is using, the same feed that CBC is using. And yet, just like CBC has problems with Clinton Ellison's interview in certain places, and there's more of these people, there's more of them. I do have it. But I needed to show you this one right away because I'm like, what's going on? Why are they wanting to hide this? They're wanting to hide their incompetence. That's what we're talking about. Incompetence. And their incompetence caused a Plaid Army girl and Camel. Good stuff. Their incompetence cost all these people's lives. All of them. Not just from the beginning, like as in, oh, you know, we could have dealt with this and got in there and you know, it's too bad, we could have probably saved a few lives. No. You could have saved all of them. All of them. Why? Mr. Wortman has been reported to police numerous times for weapons complaints, numerous times, according to the neighbor who left, according to his father. He also was assaulting a girlfriend. There was a conviction for assault in 2001. They knew about the police cars, according to the, I believe his name is Daniel Walker. No, what is going on here? Oh, we have to wait till the important witness. The important witness, they talk about the important witness. Do you remember that for a few days? And then the important witness becomes the girlfriend, who is a common law girlfriend, who doesn't live at the same address, who gets out of handcuffs and climbs through a divider and escapes. Hey, Ian. What's going on? What's going on, people? We're getting hoodwinked. We're getting hoodwinked, and why I'm so passionate about this one is because it's more power we just keep giving away because we don't call them on their bullshit. And when you don't call somebody on their bullshit, they just keep thinking to themselves, well, I can keep doing more. I was reading an article from, who was it here? Let's see, fine. Oh, it's not this one. Which one was it here? No. Oh, God. They came out with this trash. Started sowing homophobia now and misogyny. Please get real here. Where was it? The person who used to run the let's see here. Okay. How do I move this over? God, I'm the most technologically inept person. God just doesn't like me to do this stuff. I'm just supposed to sit and think. I'm supposed to be in a think tank designing the stuff to take us down. But then I was given morals. Okay. Now, about the alert system. Terry Canning. Where do we have here? Is this a bureaucratic system too complex? What happens if the emergency occurs at night or otherwise when the CCP is not staffed? More specifically, what if the emergency of which the public must be alerted has a shorter delay than an hour and 25 minutes? And if you believe the hour and 25 minutes, which is, again, coming from the same fucking people that are investigating themselves, who are fucking this whole thing up and fucked up the whole thing from the beginning, if you believe it's an hour and 25 minutes, you're out of your mind. The EMO was contacting them for a long time. That's even according to Premier McNeil, who doesn't really want to get involved with this and can't, frankly, because the RCMP were pulling in police forces from New Brunswick to Nova Scotia, 330 kilometers away, just to keep it in-house so that they could have full control of what people said, right? Because then they can spank their own members if they start getting out of line. Of course, they're not going to. They want their jobs. So they're not going to say anything, but you're going to turn down police help from Truro, from Amherst, who reached out and said, which is like literally right around the corner, the municipal police forces, and they say, well, can we help? Same with Halifax PD. No, we've got to bring in police forces from out of province, and we can take care of this. We don't have enough people, but you know what? It doesn't matter. A few people are going to die. It's okay. We're not going to inform anybody. This is such a boondoggle. Such a boondoggle. It's unbelievable. Between the SMO to ask the RCMP to request an alert, an hour and 25 minutes, much longer than that. That's only according to Leather. And the RCMP to prepare it. What if there were only moments to lose, like a tsunami, tornado, or a missile attack, or in fact, a mass murderer on the loose? Can the alert system alert someone to real impending emergency? Terry Canning thinks the system can work very well. This was not the case this time. Canning has been an emergency communications coordinator for the province for 15 years. This guy is probably somebody that can be listened to. Previously, he was a specialist in multi-agency shared resource mobile radio systems. He is now a radio communication consultant. We contacted Canning. This is Saltwire, I think, or who is this? French 24. I'm not actually sure who runs this. Terry Canning, we contacted Canning to request that if there be no emergency alert during the wave of the murders on Sunday. Quote, someone in the Royal Constabulary, which he's referring to the RCMP. Constabulary means police, right? Constabulary. Why is that word? Must be like the shooby. It's just a tongue tie. Quote, someone in the Royal Constabulary has fucked up the mess. Canning said in an interview with the Examiner, well, okay, that's out of Halifax, I think, Halifax Examiner, on Wednesday evening, and relying on damn Twitter for all things. What? Yeah, of course. But why did they use Twitter? Because, again, it was something that they could control. It was something that didn't let the cat out of the bag. It was something that had the plausible deniability. So if people come back later and they're like, what the fuck were you doing? Well, we did inform people. We just kind of made a mistake. We thought this would be a good system. So many people I've been reading about, even in this, I think it's in this article, are talking about how they could have saved lives. Had they just used the, oh God, the Chevy Tracker. This one is going to be the death of me. The silver Chevy Tracker. Go listen to CBC Radio interview with old neighbor. It's insane. The neighbor and her husband are both retired military. Did you download that, Aussie? Because, again, stuff is going to start disappearing. And frankly, I didn't get that. Sorry, excuse that they could still say, we did tell people, oh my God, such BS. Absolutely. Because you have to just look at the beginning part of all of this. You sent it to me on Twitter. Awesome. You sent me a copy on Twitter or just a link? I'll try and get it. Let's just see. Because you have to look at the timeline in relation to the events that are happening. That's where it starts to. Let's see here. I think it was this one. No, I don't want to check for updates. Yes, you did. Scroll down. The interview is there. Play it now. Okay, I will do that. Promise. I just want to be able to show this little piece here because it's and I will get this completed so that people can I always have 10 million video projects on the go. The amount of video that I have on my computer that I've never released is unbelievable. I have like 9 hard drives on my computer. All right, so let's see here. This is what I'm trying to demonstrate. What is happening at the same time, and what are they telling the people, right?
That's important to note that. The officer arranged for EHS, which is emergency health service.
Okay, sorry. I'll have to back this up a little bit more.
Over the peak. The victim managed to escape from the gunman, and she hid overnight in the woods. Following this, police received its first 911 call with a report of a shooting at a home in the area. Officers arrived on scene at 10:26 in the evening, where they located a male who was leaving the area with an apparent gunshot wound. They learned that this male was shot while driving his vehicle, and the victim indicated that a vehicle had driven by him while he was driving, and that he was shot as the vehicle was passing by. He did describe this vehicle as a vehicle that looked like a police vehicle.
Huh? So when did you know? 10:26? 10:31? In that neighborhood? Do I have an email? I do. Do I look at it ever? No. My email. I'll stick that in here. So they knew right away. I think this one, do I get mail on? I don't know. Well, I have this one, but it gets flooded with all kinds of crap from YouTube. Okay. There's an email. And just I had to use da because there's nothing else. Nobody, I can't get little gray cells at Gmail. So they knew right away it was a police officer. And what are they still telling you at the same time? Emergency broadcast, chirp, chirp. You're going to have chirp, chirp the whole time. And they're also still telling you about their cat tweet. Fucking unbelievable. Cat tweet. Sleep at home. Did you lock up? Share this post. Yay. Kitty rolling around on the ground. Hee hee hee. But they know right away. Do they tell you?
He also indicated to the responding officers that vehicle was driving towards the beach and that there was one way in and out of the community. That's important to note that.
Oh, there's another key point. There's only one way in and one way out. How does he get out? This one's a confusing one. I don't understand how he gets out. With his 4x4 cruiser, right? Through a field. Yeah.
The officer arranged for EHS, which is Emergency Health Services, to attend to the victim, and the victim was taken to hospital. He has survived.
You never heard anything out of him. Isn't that interesting? The man who was saved by police, you never heard boo. Just like everybody else. Never hear a word. Because frankly, the RCMP would be like, please talk to the media. Please tell them how we did such a wonderful job. He doesn't say shit. Nobody says shit. You don't even know who he is. Nobody does. Nobody knows who anybody is.
Several police units responded to the area, and upon arriving, they located several people who were deceased, some of which were lying in the roadway.
Okay, so by this point, we know cop car, we know several dead bodies, and also he's going to mention about the flames.
There were also several structures that were already fully engulfed in flames.
And what are they telling you? Oh, that's right. Emergency broadcast, chirp, 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 and Kitty rolling around on the ground. And they'll continue to tell you about Kitty rolling around on the ground for an hour. An hour. And then after an hour, they're going to tell you that it's a weapons complaint. Meanwhile, he's running around and he's burning shit, burning people alive, and killing people. And they just are sitting at the end of the road. This is how competent it is. It's the people at the top of this food chain that are the problem. They are the problem, and they're the ones that need to be held responsible. And they have to sue the shit out of these people. You know, hopefully, some lawyers will get a hold of some of this stuff. You know, it's not very well organized in terms of, you know, we've got hours and hours and hours and hours of live streams just talking about stuff. But the information is good and solid. It's well researched by you guys, well researched by Cage, well researched by Just My Stupid Opinion, well researched by Steve, which again, I will plug them. Please support them and sub to them because they're great people. And and people like Ozzy, and people sending me shit all the time. So we're gonna play Ozzy stuff. Let's find that here. I will locate that. And let's listen together, because I haven't got to hear it. So it'll be good. How's Slippin' doing? How's Slippin' doing? Nice, good old Slippin'. Fucking, I'll tell you. I just came to YouTube to make, and I'm not saying nothing about that, but he made a really good video the other night and about drama. Fucking YouTube drama. I made YouTubes because I just wanted to talk to people and share what I learn, and because lots of people have jobs and lives, and not that I'm unemployed, I'm retired. There's a big difference, even though I get called unemployed or something. Okay, now where is this here? Is it in here? Is that where I'm looking, Ozzy? Okay, 12-minute interview. There is the 12-minute interview. As it happens. Oh, good. Gonna have to somehow get this off of here because they're gonna fucking have errors. Boo, 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 boo. Let's listen.
Brenda, how would you describe your former neighbor, Gabriel Wortman?
One word: psychopath.
Wow.
And did you think is that how you would have described him before you knew what he did?
Oh, yeah. Both me and my husband knew what he was like. And I let other people in the community know the same thing and what he had been doing with her. And a lot of them just said to me, oh, no, he's not like that. He's like, yeah, a true psychopath. Anyway.
And when you say her, this is his partner. We're not naming her.
That's right.
How did he treat her?
I know
like
who she is.
Possession. He drank quite a bit, and when he drank, he got violent. And he had her totally under his control.
You believe that you witnessed that he was physically abusing her as well. What can you tell us about that?
The first time that she ran over to my house, actually, and she said that he had been beating her, and he had blocked her car in so she couldn't get away at the house. And I said, you need to get help. And I said, there's lots of places here in Nova Scotia. They will help you out. They will keep you away from him. They will hide you, whatever. You need to get help. And she said, no, I can't, because he will hurt me again.
She was that afraid of him.
Oh, yeah.
There was a second time, another incident, I understand, where you wanted to get the RCMP involved. Can you tell us about that?
Okay. He had a few properties, one on the main road, but one on the back road. He was working on that. He got into drinking. She was there, and there were 3 other people that were there, and he had her on the ground. One of the guys told me, was strangling her and screaming at her. And she actually said, don't get involved or you're only going to make it worse. One of the guys told me what happened. So I said, that's it. It's done. I went into work and I called the RCMP.
Good for her.
And they came down to see me and they said, what happened? And I told them what the one fella had told me had happened. And I also said that he has a bunch of illegal weapons. And he said, can you get one of these guys to confirm what you just said? I said, I will try. I will call one of them, which I did. And I said, would you be willing to talk to the RCMP? And the answer I got back was, no way. He'll kill me.
So they were afraid of him.
Oh, yeah.
You and your husband said that you knew that he had these illegal firearms. How did you know that?
Yeah. We're military. or we were. We're both retired now. And he had us at his house when he first moved there, and he showed them to us. And we knew right away that there's no way that he would have got them here in Canada, number one. And he didn't have an FAC. And he actually asked us, because we were military, if we could get him a weapon or ammunition. My husband's like, what? No way. That's against the law.
Did you ever tell the RCMP that you saw those firearms?
Yeah, when I had that interview with them, I told them then. They said we had to have like pictures or proof that he actually had these weapons. We didn't have that. So there was nothing, basically nothing at that time that they could do.
I understand that you came to be personally afraid of him. From time to time, you had seen other women at his place when his partner wasn't there, and you came to tell one of your neighbors about that.
That's when
She's
the
not protecting the cops.
fight hit the fan. He dragged her over to my house,
She's throwing them under the bus.
pounded on the door. My husband answered the door, and he started screaming, "What the is your wife saying that I'm screwing around on my girlfriend?" And I heard him. I was upstairs. I had a little bit of the flu. I came downstairs, and he screaming at me. He says, "What are you saying that, you're telling everybody that I'm screwing?" And I said, "If the shoe fits, wear it." I said, "I've seen countless women at your place." And he grabbed her, hauled her out the door, and he said, "You're going to pay for this," to me. Well, she was no longer allowed to talk to me, come anywhere near me. And what he would do, my husband ended up going to Africa for the military, and I was basically by myself. I would go to work and come back, and as soon as I got home, he'd show up in his vehicle, park it right outside my house, get out, stand, and stare at the house for a good half hour. And he did that for a few days. And I went, "This is crazy. I'm scared to death now. The guy's a nutcase." My husband come home from Africa, and I let him know what had been going on. And he saw it. And he said, "Yeah, we're moving." And the one thing that I have regret was the people that bought the house. I should have let them know what he was like, because they ended up getting killed too.
Oh, good.
The people who bought your house were killed.
Sounds like
Yeah, and he burnt the house down.
he did that to the
When
other
you
people
learn that, what
about
effect did
Clayton
that have on
Workman's
you?
house. Who bought it? He killed them too.
I'm going to say that he burnt that house down, not because of the people that were living there, but because of me. It just rocked my world. And for somebody with PTSD, it's a little bit harder.
It's either going to be the Zols or
And
the
I'm so sorry. That's
Galechkins.
just simply awful but you can't feel you're responsible for that in any way.
It's hard not to.
But you're not, and you did everything you could. And when he was menacing you at your door when you were alone in the house, did you report him?
No, because the thing with being in the military, the words were "suck it up, princess," right? You're tough, you're a soldier, just soldier on. So, no.
But she already did. She got no response.
This is hard.
And I can hear it, that it's very, very painful to talk about this, especially the fear you had as well. On the night of April 18th, and you heard the story of this shooting, and the next day, I guess, in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Did you immediately think of your neighbor?
Oh, I knew it was him. the first person I thought of was her. And then right away, I called the RCMP. Yeah, and let them know everything.
And they've interviewed you since?
Oh, yes. I've had probably 4 or 5 interviews.
There were 22 victims that he killed, and many injured, but his partner was also a victim. Do you wonder why he didn't kill her?
He tried. He had her handcuffed and threw her in the house. He lit the house on fire.
Well, hold on a second here. Hold on a second here. That's what they're saying. However, policemen, according to McLean's article, say that they threw her Wortman threw her in the back of the car, and she escaped through the cage. With the cage, which of course is you can buy at your corner store, right? And she somehow escaped that, and somehow escaped and hid in the woods. Either which way she escaped, hiding in the woods. Allison gets hypothermia. She's okay, even though she's there for how many more hours? 2.5.
Want her to survive, but she was lucky and was able to get away and hide.
Have you been able to speak with her since?
I haven't spoken with her, no.
Would you like to?
Yeah, I would, but
Nobody's
I
going
don't
to speak
think
to
she
her.
really wants to talk to anybody right now.
What would you say to her if you could?
How much I feel for her, how much I know what she had to go through, everything. I'm just glad she's okay. I'm really glad she's okay.
Do you know if she has friends, if anyone is helping her, if she has a circle of any kind?
When she was with him, she really wasn't allowed to have friends, but she does have a good family. They will be good for her, really good for her.
When you reflect on this and what you knew over the years that you were observing this, are your thoughts that this possibly could have been prevented?
Yes. The laws have to change. If somebody gets, whether be it male or female, if they get assaulted, if they're abused or...
Sorry, and I have to respectfully disagree with you, Good News. You know, I think you're fantastic, but I really do have to disagree with you on this one, because she's not trying to protect the police. She's throwing them under the bus where they should be. She reported this shit. The father reported this shit. I mean, you can't have all these people lying about this. Why would... She's not protecting them. It's not like she's saying, oh yeah, by the way, the RCMP did a fantastic job. She's saying, I reported this shit. They totally ignored it, just like Halifax PD, just like the father reported him to the RCMP in Bible Hill. He's been reported multiple times. That's why this never, ever, ever had to happen. Ever. None of it.
Ever. And somebody reports it for them because they're too afraid to. It should be looked at right away. And if you report anybody that has what you know are illegal weapons, whether you have pictures or what of it, if somebody reports that, it should be investigated like yesterday.
You wanted people to know what he was about.
Yeah, well, now I'm getting bunches of emails from people that were there that I told, and they're all apologizing to me. That doesn't work for me. You didn't believe me in the beginning. I'm not a crazy lady. What I said was true. Mm-hmm. It irritates me now that, you finally realize it after everybody's dead? Sorry, I'm getting a little upset here.
Brenda, you are entitled to be upset, and I just want to make sure that you're okay, that when we let you go, you got someone to talk to.
I have a service dog and my husband.
Okay. Brenda, you've been very generous, and I know this, we've walked you through a lot of really painful stuff, but I think people appreciate knowing what you've been able to tell them. Thank you.
I stutter now too, so you're welcome.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Wow. I mean, I've never heard the whole interview. I've read obviously snippets of that interview. Again, I would say look at the fact that she's not in Nova Scotia and she's coming out. I do think that some of this is meant to cause adversity towards the police in a way. And that's not what I'm saying. It's not what this is about. It's about cleaning up the police, the good police that are in there. Let's get them, in positions of power that they're able to make decisions to defend Canadians, protect Canadians, get rid of this adversarial garbage. What was it? RCMP. I talked about that before. Voted most. I know Adrian and I were talking about this. Oh, that's how. There we go. Canada's most secretive law enforcement agency, RCMP. Crazy. But I don't think it's just the secretive law enforcement agency. But you have to think about things that are like the journalists here are saying, this is the Canadian Journalists Association gave them a prize in 2017 for being the most secretive. Code of silence for government secrecy in the category of law enforcement agencies. Okay. But I mean, if you think about things like CSIS, everybody knows CSIS, but okay, if you think about something like CSE, which Canada, I mean, this is Canada's ultra uber organization. I used to send them good mornings every morning on my old Twitter account, because they watch everything very closely. And hardly anybody's ever heard of them. And yet the journalists are saying, no, actually it's the RCMP. RCMP, who were told in what year was that? To clean up their stuff. Where was that? Privacy, power. You see, it's all about power, the RCMP. Power. They're a powerful organization, right? And yet the media helps them. And I understand that the media is owned. I understand that, I'm not being tinfoily. That's fucking true. Anybody who wants to do the research, and when this is all said and done, I'm going to get back to my regular shtick, which sadly I wasn't ever able to get into too much, but the media is a totally controlled entity. And so they just tell us whatever we're supposed to hear. So camera errors, these kinds of things, not speaking to people. Listen, if the media wanted to go and talk to people, they can go down Portapique Beach Road. Colchester County put out a advisory asking the media not to talk to anybody. Now, I think on something like this, you can approach people. We have, and though we don't know people that live there, I'd love to talk to somebody who lived there, because I've heard lots of things from other people who have said he was a major problem. People up in Edmonton, but I don't know anybody who lived there on the ground at the time, and I would love to talk to them and find out, because they're going to have some things to say. But it takes a month for this to come out from this lady, and she's in another province, and I think that's careful to take note of. I think the RCMP are really putting the plunger on people. Clinton Ellison's account, Facebook account, totally disappeared. You know, and frankly, I don't think anybody's sending Mr. Ellison nasty things. They're probably sending him supportful things and saying, you know, maybe asking him to do interviews or whatever. But he has lots of ways to control that if he wanted to. But they're shutting him up, just like they shut up everybody else that we have come in contact with. There's only been one person that's kind of remained on the scene, and again, I remain skeptical of why. I'm skeptical of everybody in this whole story, sadly, but that's my mind. I've lived in this world for too long. Yes, thanks, Bellatrix. Please, I didn't stick in the notes about donations. Let me go and grab that and stick it in to Tara for her fund. Let me just grab that and throw that in there, and because it will help out, and you know. Let's see, notes, edit, description, paste, save changes. There we go. Saving. Error occurred. Oh, okay. Why am I having errors occurring? Okay, doesn't want me to stick it in there. I'll stick it in there later. Have I talked to Tara recently? Yes, I have. I spoke to her. She phoned me at midnight, 3 in the morning. Yes, I speak to Tara. I'm aware. And I would, you know, I talked a little bit about I'm not going to get into that stuff because that's really personal stuff. So I'm not going to get into it. But Tara's having not the easiest go, and people are being really nasty to her. Some people, and frankly, that's uncalled for. There's no reason to be nasty to her. I've known her for years. She's a good person. So I don't know. I'm interested to hear more from you, Good News, as to why you think you're doubtful of this lady's position. Because frankly, I think she has no reason to lie. Her being in the military, yes, is interesting to note. However, she's not speaking kindly of the RCMP by any stretch. And we can see that every person that has spoken up in this story generally has not spoken in favor of what has happened with the RCMP. And they constructed their hero. That I hope people see that too. Even though it's awful that Stevenson died, terrible. Anybody's death is terrible. Stevenson was a construct to defend the RCMP, to pull on people's heartstrings to get them to stop asking the questions. And that's why they built her up so quickly and started every press conference with how their family had been killed, the RCMP family, and it was just so terrible. And it had nothing to do with the fact that she's been used, and her family frankly, if I was her family, I would be very, very angry about that, because it's not as though they're genuine. It's the people at the top who are using that as a shield to defend their shitty actions and their orders to not deal with this stuff. And lots of people died. And you can go through it piece by piece. You can go back to how he got out of Portapique, right? And you can go back to the Twitter line. But this is all not a mistake, not fuck-ups, not errors. Oh, we didn't inform the EMO. This was very carefully orchestrated to protect the RCMP. That was their end goal. And they're going to get away with it if people don't speak up. And if they get away with it, they've gotten away with it before. I've seen it before. If they get away with it again, they're going to just keep grabbing more and more power. And this organization, frankly, has lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of power. And that's not what policing is about. Policing is about having a presence in the community. They're not, I know that was also discussed a long time ago. What was that? RCMP, National Post. Need to, I don't know where I'm going to find that. Loading. Go away, I don't want your stuff. RCMP need to be more forthcoming about potential faults in Nova Scotia response. Experts say. This was a good article. Experts say RCMP need to be more forthcoming about what could have been done, could have been a critical fault. Could have been? What was a critical fault? Many critical faults in their response to mass murder in rural Nova Scotia last weekend, where a rogue gunman killed at least 22 people over a 14-hour rampage. Families of murder victims and many observers have raised questions over why RCMP did not issue emergency alert over mobile phones and televisions to warn the killer on the loose. Gosh, you know how many articles I've been reading tonight just about people saying the Lillian Heislip and her friend, two people in her life said that they would have informed her right away. Don't go on your walk. There's a guy who's crazy on the loose. Do not go on your walk. And they said, why did they not inform us? Why did people not inform us? I mean, their Twitter feed is full of it, RCMP. I don't know if they're deleting posts on it where people are asking, and we're asking at the time, please, can you activate the EMO? But it was about protecting them. Despite having issued the same type of warning just a week earlier, urging people to stay home and slow the spread of corona. Really? They actually used the EMO twice, I think it was, they said, on the Easter long weekend, once for the corona and once for an Amber Alert. So they do know how to use it. It's not like, oops, this was a mistake, we don't know how to use it. Well, we were coordinating, we didn't know what message to write. How about just stay at home? The federal police force, meanwhile, has been evasive in responses about potential communication breakdown. It wasn't a breakdown. It was they didn't want to communicate with you. That was what it was about. And the risks of losing the trust in of the public if they do not acknowledge possible missteps, experts say. Quote, the more time you give an answer, the wait to give an answer, the more difficult it is to explain why you didn't use the dedicated alert system. Apologies. People need to apologize. When you do something wrong, you do actions to make amends. You apologize and you do action. No apologies. No apologies. No apologies for opening fire on their own personnel. No apologies for opening fire on emergency personnel, firefighters, and no acknowledgement of possible wrongdoing on other people, collateral damage. And it's taken too long for them to provide answers. Questions about the police force's response were repeated to Nova Scotia Premier Stephen McNeil on Wednesday. Said the Provincial Emergency Management Office reached out to RCMP, quote, a number of times about issuing an emergency alert. By the time the RCMP killed the gunman, 51-year-old Gabriel Wortman, at 11:26, the police force was still debating the wording. God, I'm glad it's not a tsunami, because if it's a tsunami, you're not going to find out over there in Nova Scotia. Too bad about that. This is what you'll get. Crickets. We're trying to work it out. Oh, there's a wave coming in the office. Oh, we're dead. I think in order to gain the trust of the public, they need to explain why they did not use the alert system and need to be transparent about it. Good luck with that. Good luck with transparency from the RCMP. They need to ultimately take fault for that. Aha. When you make a mistake, normal people know you apologize. That's the first thing that you do. You apologize. You say, whoa, we made some mistakes here. And these are the following things that we're going to do to make sure that they don't happen again. I presume most people here do that. I know I try to. Family and other observers are trying to determine the reasons behind the more than 1 hour delay. That is BS. That is BS. That's coming from the RCMP, particularly where the Nova Scotia RCMP Twitter account has been posting tweets about the shooting suspect Saturday night. Ah, yes, the 1 hour delay, right? That's just what we were talking about here. The fires are going on, people are dying, and they're talking about cats rolling around on ground. And then you can't even acknowledge it until the next tweet is in the morning. Where's that? What time was that? 8, 9 in the morning. There's been an active shooter in Portapique. By that time, I think he'd already left. Flynn, like Hammond, stressed the outside observers do not often appreciate the complexity of active shooter events, the immense strain it places on men and women, the front lines, blah, blah, blah. Fuck off. 23-year veteran was killed. This is, again, the shield. Shields up. You got to pull on your emotional heartstrings. Shields up. Because we had somebody die who we probably killed ourselves, you can't say anything to us. Think about that in your own life. Does that make sense? Just because somebody died doesn't mean that you can't ask somebody a question. You would ask them questions, and most normal people would apologize too. Flynn said such instances are always highly unexpected, which adds to the uncertainties facing the police on the ground. No one thinks Saturday evening in rural Nova Scotia during COVID-19, I've got to have that in there, vomit, that we're going to have the largest mass shooting in Canadian history. Even so, he says senior police officials ought to have acknowledged any potential shortfalls. Really? Quote, it would have been helpful yesterday if someone had said, we certainly could have done better. No, instead they said, Twitter is a superior method, and we're very satisfied, as I recall. Superior method. We thought it was a superior method, and we're very satisfied. They were very satisfied in hindsight. They still are, because they've never changed that statement. It's just they've said, we're looking into that. We'll get back to you on that. I think that's like you're going to find out who the girlfriend is. Right. Or where Joey Weber's tracker is. You're never going to find out. In the wind. It would have been helpful yesterday if somebody had said we could have been done better. It's important for leadership to recognize that more could have been done. That's a true leader, one who admits faults. Brian Sauvé, president of the National Police Federation, said current speculation over potential shortfalls is premature. You don't think Brian Sauvé might have a little bit of bias, eh? Just a little bit, eh? The RCMP have launched an investigation on how its handling of the matter. That's good. The RCMP who fucked up are going to investigate themselves. What were they looking for down here? Ooh. You're never going to know. Quote, some are asking questions about difficult senior operation decisions. Senior operation decisions. Would that be like decisions about the end of the road? About not going in? Would that be the kind of decisions that we're talking about? Are we talking about the decisions about Twitter and the lack of EMO? What kind of decisions are we talking about? The multitude and plethora of errors that are so critical and huge that they cost the lives of people, and those families will never, ever be the same. Those poor children, like, honestly, I'll tell you, I can't stop thinking about those children sitting on the phone and what they're saying as their mother is dead on the lawn in front, and they're hiding and they're terrified, and they're sitting there for 2 hours. 2 hours. It wasn't like the RCMP didn't know where they were. They know where everybody is. Try phoning 911 and hanging up. They know exactly where you are. And those children had to suffer. And the trauma that they're going to find their whole life with no parents. And a police force that didn't come to save them. It keeps playing in my head. I can be there, and I'm seeing them, and it's breaking my heart. It's really breaking my heart. Thank goodness for the woman or man that spoke to them on the phone for 2 hours. That is really, that is a hero to me. Hero. But at the same time, that person has to be on the phone and being like, get the fuck in there. Get in there. Save these kids. They're little kids. They're innocent. They didn't do anything. They never probably said shit to Mr. Wortman. Nothing. I'm not saying the kids to point out the RCMP are heroes. I'm saying the RCMP fucked up and left those 2 kids sitting there. And that's tragic. Tragic. And that's on them. That's on them. All of it. All of these deaths. And you see how these kids' futures is going to be? No No parents. And the uncle, I think it's actually the brother. I may have made a mistake about that, and I should admit my faults when I made a mistake. I think it's actually the brother, the big brother, who took them in and said that they were doing really well to be as can be expected. I don't know. Some are asking questions about senior operation decisions without considering how little information is available to our first responders on the ground protecting the public in the middle of a rapidly evolving, highly dangerous situation. Well, I would like Mr. Sauvé, Brian Sauvé, I have an open request to you, sir. Go and sit down with those kids. And you say that to their face. Say it to their face. People are awful brave. You know, it's like people on computers or driving in a car. They're awful brave. They can say a lot of fucking things not to somebody's face. But when they have to sit down there with somebody and make that kind of a statement in front of two little kids, I don't think he can do it. And if he can, he's got a problem. He's got a problem inside. He better adjust his moral compass, because it's not about him protecting his crony friends. It's about being a good human. Early speculation in advance of the investigation findings damages morale of the brave men and women who responded to the situation and who are grieving the loss of their colleague and community members. Heartstrings to say, shields up, don't talk about it, shields up, you can't criticize. We'll get back to you on that later. But we've lost somebody. So therefore we could have done no wrong here. That absolutely negates anything we could have possibly done wrong. That's pure illogical garbage. On Wednesday, Nova Scotia RCMP, I really do hope Mr. Sauvé sees this. Mr. Sauvé, please go and sit down with those two children and say that. Please. Go sit down with any of the people involved with this, any of the families. And you go say that statement to their face. But especially those kids. On Wednesday, Nova Scotia RCMP Chief Superintendent Leather said the police had been drafting an emergency alert. How hard is this? Are you really that special needs? But it's not. It was just about, it was never going to come out. It was never supposed to come out when Wortman was killed just before noon on Sunday. The statements conveyed a convoluted chain of command before an alert could be issued. Well, I'm sure that, again, all the families and all those kids and everybody involved feels much better that you're saying that. That brings them a lot of solace. Well, the trust that you have in us is very important. That was the response. That was the response to the question, how do you feel about the fact that the damage to the trust that the public may have in you? Well, the public's trust is a very important thing that we work on hard every day. That would be called obfuscation. I'm not answering your question. And I'm totally convoluting what I'm saying. And it's psychological mindfuck games. Quote, the original call to the RCMP was to one of our members at headquarters. There was then a series of phone calls that had to be made to find the officer in charge, then speak. Well, I would say that's a gigantic fuck up right there. If you want to actually believe they're garbage, we just have severe communication problems and we're totally incompetent, utterly incompetent. It's one of two things. It's utterly incompetent, or it's much more severe problem, and I'm going to say it's much more severe a problem. Hiding, cowardness, all kinds of stuff. There were good officers, though. This has to be known. With a series of phone calls that had to be made to find the officer in charge, then speak to the incident commander, have a conversation about issuing the message. So a lot of delay was based on the communications between the EMO and various officers. In fact, that had nothing to do with the EMO. Nothing to do with the EMO. That was all 100% in-house RCMP. The EMO was like, we're waiting. Can you please tell us to turn it on, please? Can we turn it on? Please, can we turn it on? Please, can we turn it on? And I think actually this goes to something more sinister at work. If in fact the RCMP had involved Amherst or involved Truro or Halifax police departments, if they had involved municipal police departments, they could have made that call and said, can you turn on the fucking EMO? Because there's something really fucked up going on here. But no, you flew in people from 330 kilometers away to deal with this because you just wanted it to stay in the RCMP. That's it. So then the RCMP can't get in trouble. And then the discussion about how the message would be constructed and what they would say. And in that hour and a bit of consultation, the subject was killed. Well, again, this here part, an hour and bit of consultation, is an utter fucking lie. And Mr. Leather, I hope he has a real good sleeping pill at hand, because he can't be sleeping too well. I wouldn't be, certainly. None of the people in this, I would be sleeping well. You have to get up in the morning, literally, and look at people in the eye and lie to them and say, no, not our problem. We didn't do anything. And go home by yourself and try to go to sleep and envision all of the lies. And I'm not talking just then. I'm talking future. I'm talking about the alcoholism, the substance abuse that people will go through because they can't deal with their stuff. The pain that they have of having no family. Those Christmas dinners where they're at their aunt and uncle's and they're like, they're sitting there all by themselves. Parent-teacher interviews. Mother's Day, Father's Day. Years and years and years. All the birthdays that everybody's going to miss. The marriages, the kids that could have been. I hope that the people involved can stick themselves into those positions, because I can. And I'll tell you, it eats me up. It eats me up, knowing. And when you know what they know, and what we know is very little compared to what they know. Right? But we know enough. We know enough to say that this is really bad. Really, really bad. How many people are going to go back to it? So much carnage, 13 hours. And Gabriel was sleeping. Yeah. No, he wasn't sleeping. He was very hard at work, burning and shooting. And that's according to Maclean's magazine. Policemen who are, quote, not authorized to speak. Again, I would say very good police, but they need to be if you have to put a name and a face to it, you really do. You have to stand up. It's the same thing as when I started making YouTube videos. It's obviously a different kettle of fish entirely. But I remember I used to make YouTubes, and the first YouTubes I made, I was just one of those people who would put articles up and I would highlight and do all that stuff. And I didn't do live streams, obviously, because I didn't have enough subs or whatever then. And I thought to myself, you know, what kind of weight does your opinion have? What kind of weight does your opinion, that's the way I was raised. What kind of weight does your opinion have if you can't put a face to it? Are you brave? Are people going to listen to you or disregard you? Because if they see you on the street, can they come to you and say, I don't agree with what you say? No. I'm firm enough in my convictions, in my research, that I'll put a face to it. When I make mistakes, I'll apologize for it. Like I said, I think I may have made a mistake about those kids. I think that's actually their brother. And I've made mistakes along the way, but that's the way humans are. To err is human. To admit the faults, correct them, gains credibility and trust with others. That's the way it works. That's the way it's supposed to work. It isn't supposed to work by, we'll get back to you on that one. I may have made an error. I'm not even going to acknowledge the fact that I may have made an error, because such things as NDAs. NDAs are crap. Throw them in the toilet. They should never exist. They should never exist. People should be allowed to say anything and everything that they want. Maybe not trade secrets. I can understand that. But I'm in terms of policemen being able to stand up and say, listen, there's a mistake here. I throw that right in the same boat with women who are sexually harassed at work. They're allowed to stand up and say, listen, I was sexually harassed, and you're not allowed to fire them. You're not allowed to do shit to them. In the proper world, of course, they always worm their way around it some way. But, again, I would say laws, where do they come from? Lots of laws. Principle of all these different fucking laws. You only need a few laws. You only need a few laws to live by. Moral compass laws. Not real hard. Tell the truth. Don't cheat. Don't assault and beat up other people for no reason. Don't murder. Don't steal. Tell the truth. RCMP, tell the truth. So I do believe Brenda Forbes in this case. I really do. And I think she's out of the province, and I think that's why she's allowed to talk. It's too bad it's a month later, because the story died, and I think the media probably are like that. Listen, we now have the plausible deniability. We told you about it, but it was too late, because now we've already been talking about killer bees and who won Survivor. So the interest has waned from people's minds. It's slowly and very carefully orchestrated to drift from people's consciousnesses. And it will go into the past. It will go into the places that all mass shootings do. Not saying that all mass shootings, by the way, are real. I would never say that. But, of course, then I'm going to have to wear the tinfoil hat. But this one does apparently appear to be, there's definitely much more going on underneath. But there is a case of just incompetency and all that shit. And that needs to be uncovered. We uncover that. We bring that to the attention of the media nationally and to politicians, etc. It has a ripple effect. Huge, huge ripple effect. Because all of a sudden, well, the civilians, they have a voice. They can turn on them. They can speak up if there's a problem. They can sue them. That's a big thing that they're afraid of. They want you to live in the mindset of you have no power. How many people here, honestly, how many people here know people or even have felt. I certainly can attest to that one. Well, yeah, at times, for sure. I was definitely raised that you have no power. I hear that from people all the time. Well, what can I do? And I'm like, you actually can do a lot. Hey, Jade, sir, what's going on? They want you traumatized, afraid. That's right. I responded to somebody today in the comment section, and I said, fear and dishonesty. These are the two biggest things that are ruling this world right now. And they're tolerated. But the more you tolerate fear and the more you tolerate the dishonesty, the worse it's going to get. If you have the courage to speak up, if you have, and you're willing to put yourself out there. And when I say put yourself out there, I mean put yourself out there. Don't think that just because I don't say my last name and where I live, that the people who are watching this don't fucking know. They've known all along. And that's fine. They can. Because I'm very strong in my convictions. You want to fuck with me? That's okay. I fight back. I fight back hard. We all can. The mass shooting looks like one way because we know it affected people, but that's what they're using to spin this. Yeah, of course. Of course. How many articles are out there about, I don't know. How about, let's see, where was I? I like this article. Where's that? I also was doing some more math. I'm having problems with what they're saying. Maybe I'll touch on that too. More problems with what they're saying. But province RCMP likely to face big lawsuits. And I'm glad to see I missed this article, but of course we've been saying that right from the onset. You can sue the RCMP. You can sue the shit out of them. Strike fear into their hearts. Right? We have power. We hit back. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing. Vert. Province, RCMP likely to face big lawsuits. I would probably be careful on this one. They can, I think, but that would require the EMO turning over the documents as to who makes the call. EMO, funnily enough, isn't turning over the documents to say why they didn't make the call and their procedural orders. I think it's going to turn out that it's the RCMP that make the call. The police forces are the ones that make the call. And if it does turn out that it's Mr. McNeil, well, sorry about you. Our political system is a fucking total theater anyway. This is all crap. These people are controlled. They're just there talking heads. That's why they constantly do things that are against the people's wishes, because it has nothing to do with you and me. It has to do with the people who are really in control of this world. We're just the plebes, but we're not. We have the power. We have the numbers. They have fuck all. Where was that here? The articles of just constant. I mean, you can just put it in. You can just put in a search. Like, how about Lillian Hyslop? I mean, that's what I was looking at. But, I mean, look how many hits you'll get with the trauma. These kinds of things are meant to traumatize you. Nova Scotia shooting, Lillian Hyslop always had a smile, loved walking. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's psychological warfare. You die. Oh, Walker murdered on the road. It's not, how do we stop it? And yet all the people who speak in these articles, they say, where they can have the chance to speak up, they'll speak honestly. Let's see here. I could have saved Lillian's life if I had known 45 minutes before that. This is Atkinson, Debbie Atkinson, who was a friend with her and used to run into her every day. That would be if she'd gotten the alert. Matthews, this was another person. And Matthews was the one, I believe, who had to ID her. Is that right? Had to say what she was wearing. Is that correct? I can't remember who it was. And they went and asked her. All these people are never going to be the same. And that's the other part to this, right? Sure, I can see how what's going to happen to these people roughly in their lives, the ones that are left, the survivors, the surviving family members. But it's what it does to society, to know that there are people out there that are just going ballistic and nonsense, and the media just keeps hitting you. Constant negativity. We're going to war. We're doing this. People are dying. Mass shooting over here. COVID is killing you. It's just right here. Where are they attacking you? Your brain, your psychology, making you feel more and more and more powerless. But that voice inside you, the one that's keeping you watching this channel or other channels, that little voice inside of you that's saying, you know what? I don't like this. That's the one that they're trying ever so hard to kill. That's God inside you. They're trying to kill it. Because when they do, well, they've won. And they only win if you let them. We all have the ability to stand up. We all have that power. I hope I'm communicating that well, because that's what it's about. Knowing. And the problems that we have in society, it isn't that we can point the fingers always and say, it's your fault, you're supposed to take care of us, what's going on with you? We start here inside of ourselves. We make sure that our side of the road is as clean as possible. Then we can start saying to other people, listen, I live my life a moral way. I live my life an honest way, whatever. And I'm not saying that you guys are dishonest, but I'm saying it's always about starting to live a certain way too, right? People broken down on the side of the road, whatever. Telling the truth to your spouse. Not getting angry at that guy necessarily who cuts you off. God knows I suffer from that one. Terrible. But it starts here because it rains down out there, right? I go and start spewing shit all over other people and getting angry and mad at people. That's why, not to veer off into too many different directions, but that's why I don't get too upset and give too much airplay to some of the YouTube drama shit. And God, some of you may know about that stuff, and it's been going on for a while. Planned, I would say, very purposeful, but I'm not going to give it any kind of airtime. You guys, you wanted to have drama. You want to have drama. You want to bring drama. You want to create drama. Very intentionally, in my opinion. And we're only talking about, I'm not naming names, not going to name names. I was watching something earlier that, because there was a point where somebody was attacking some of my friends and myself, So I went in and I had a little discussion with them in a live stream. And I said, listen, I respect you have your beliefs and things. If you want to debate me at any point in time, I'm more than happy and I'm here. That person muted me. Then they started kicking out people who were there who knew me and said, why did you mute him? What did he say that was wrong? And that was all about anger and hatred and shit. No, I don't want to play that game. You want to defeat me with your mind? Come at me. As a rager when you drive. There are a lot of stupid people, but we have to be as forgiving as possible. Yeah, me too. Nice blinker, asshole. But, you know, if you get angry at that guy, then, of course, he's going to get angry and he's going to go to work and then he's going to be at the water cooler. He's already at level 10. He's going to start exploding at other people. It just gets worse and worse, you know. I'm equally as bad suffering from this, so I know what that is. But, oh, that's good. I recognize that sound. Police are out hunting for somebody. Wreaking havoc on society. God, the tools that they have, holy shit, man. We have the brains, though. The brains. And it isn't an us versus them. Because most of them are good people, too. There are some people, though, who are ruling the show, whether it be in the RCMP, whether it be other police forces. I can name other police forces that I've come in contact with that have serious fucking problems, or are politicians, or world leaders, all the NGOs that are just trash. The charities one was really sad to me because I volunteer all the time, have for years. 3 days a week I volunteer. And, you know, I carefully have to go through where I volunteer because I don't want, they are businesses. And a lot of people don't understand that. People can sell those charities. And they do. I knew a man who father-in-law owned a charity and he sold it. And it was worth a fucking garbage pile. And I was like, what are you talking about, man? Charity that's not charity. Charity is giving and you get nothing out of it. You don't even need to tell anybody. Sorry if that's distracting. Maybe there's somebody in my neighborhood. Maybe they'll come to my door. Maybe we can have a talk. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Good news. I'll be back. I'll be back. I got my shtick. You remind me so much of my brother who took his life. Oh, thank you. I'm very sorry to hear that your brother took his life. The world is a heavy place. If we acknowledge what it really is and where it's at, it's a heavy place. But we can't let it defeat us. We can't. I'm very sorry to hear that, Ozzy. Really sorry. Suicides, you know. One day we should talk about that. This, because, you know, suicide has touched us all. Friends, family members who can't deal, who just can't deal. Why? Why do we have a world that's like that? Why have we allowed that? Doesn't have to be. It can be so much different. I can see it. I can see the spirit of people even though it's beaten down, I can hear it from people. I can see it here, you know? Even though it's beaten down, we're all beaten down. I can see that voice inside. God is talking, and God is fucking powerful, man. Okay, I respect that. I respect that, Ozzy, totally. You know, it's painful. It's painful stuff. And the suicide rate nowadays is out of control. I mean, that whole boondoggle of more trauma of COVID, I talked about that at the beginning of all of it. So in my private videos, right? But I started going through all the suicide rates and the helplines and how they were absolutely fucking skyrocketing. And I said at the beginning, I'm like, you're going to see some real fucking bad fallout from this. The suicide, the spousal abuse, the child abuse, because people are cooped up. And what can you do? We're supposed to be out. We're supposed to associate with other people. We're supposed to have distance and time alone and those kinds of things. We're not supposed to be sitting at home getting drunk and high, fattening pigs for slaughter, you know? Wearing masks. We expose ourselves to we develop, God gave us that wonderful bodies that we have, which are so complex, natural antibodies and immunities that we develop without fucking drugs and garbage. We just develop it on our own. We don't need that. Oh, gotta get a vaccine. Fuck you and your vaccine. I'll let God take care of me, because I know he will. And when it's my time, he's going to take me, and I'll be okay. Face diapers, yeah. Our body is a crazy laboratory to the people and in the hubris of man. The hubris, the audacity of certain people to actually think that they can overpower and beat God at his own game. Fuck that, man. He'll put you down. We can't outdo God. That's why we're human. Just like dogs are dogs, and animals are animals. The universe is the way that it is because we're not that big. We're just a blip on the radar. But we can do good things while we're here if we want to. I agree with you. I'm not going to. I mean, the feedback that Mr. Gates gets is unbelievable. Even though we all know that they're cleaning out his Twitter feeds, they're cleaning out his YouTube page, they're cleaning out everything to sanitize his public image and friends like his, Fauci, and oh God, the list is so huge. I don't know if I've spoken to you guys about that or who. A lot of you, of course, I do really long live streams, so things I say get missed, which I totally understand. Welcome, trust. When the COVID stuff started and I was looking into things, I came across this organization called the Welcome Trust. And I was like, Welcome Trust, pharmaceutical charity. Huh, yes. And then I was researching, because they're tied to COVID, and I was researching who runs it. Baroness Ella is a charity, by the way, not charity. Baroness Manningham Bueller is a retired intelligence officer She was the director general of MI5, British Internal National Security. Unbelievable. To think that this person is in charge of a health charity worth tons of money. How much money is it worth? $25.9 billion. Billion with a B. And they do all kinds of funding into scientific research, biomedical. Ooh, very tied up with Porton Down, developers of biological weapons. Anybody who can look at a health charity that's worth $25.6 or $25.9 billion and say an intelligence officer, the head of one of the most powerful Five Eye intelligence organizations in the world, is in charge of a health trust? Dur. R.I.P. Johnny Cash. Where did that come from? Clearly I missed something in the chat. Anyways, I do want you to thank you for sharing that, Ozzy. I really appreciate that. I did stick the link in, and I believe I do have it here, right? Yeah. So I will throw that in the notes as well. But please be aware of what the media is doing and the RCMP complicity on that, because that's not an error with one camera, one feed. They're blurring and fucking it up so that people don't hear what the truth is, because the truth hurts. That's the only thing that keeps them in control, is the dishonesty and the fear. If you are honest and you're courageous and you can face this one, and when I mean one, I mean the world, and you're coming from a good place, a place of not that we're perfect, because I'm not perfect, but as good and wanting to improve ourselves the whole time. And meanwhile, trying to improve our world outside and do it in a way that's not violent, that's not, because they want that. They want that so bad. They want people to snap and go crazy. And people do, and people are. But they make it that way. We've lost so many people. So many. Think of it, all the addictions, suicides, murders, those that are still left that are getting assaulted, robberies, infidelity, on and on and on. The normalization of that. Like, take that as an issue, right? The normalization of infidelity, the destruction of the family. Let's destroy that. This sounds like a good thing to do. It was seeming to run okay. We can look at nature. We can see that nature operates with a male and female species, that they have their roles in raising children to a point that they're able to function on their own. And every generation gets better and better and better. They mutate a little bit more and more accustomed to their environment. They're better hunters. They're better at camouflage, and the rabbit changes his colors in wintertime. That's the natural order of things. Things get better, and yet we go downhill. We get poorer. We accept that. We accept the violence. We accept the normalization of the destruction of the family. Unbelievable. Anyways, sister's going to bed, And I don't want to keep you all, but I really appreciate you coming. Please spread the word about the media doctoring, Global's doctoring, RCMP stuff, CBC's doctoring. They're all doctoring. You take that video, right? Take that video. I say goodbye and then I start talking again. They take that video, remember the video that was released very conveniently by Ms. Marshall, the cigar hut lady. Her dad owns the cigar hut in Nova Scotia. Ms. Marshall lives in Ottawa. And she dumps that video on YouTube, Facebook. I don't know how that came to quite pass. I guess she heard something happened and then she decided to review security footage just because and happened to find that. Anyways, if that's so, great. But how the RCMP, they released that in the media and press outlets were cutting out the time. And even still to this day, right? We look at the picture that the RCMP provide us and say, well, listen, this is the truth. This is the truth. Trust us here. Believe us. It didn't actually happen at 10:55. No. That IP detecting, auto setting security system that you have plugged in, no, that's wrong. That's just wrong. Like all of our computers and cell phones are wrong. Just because it says 10:55 in the corner, oh no, that doesn't really mean 10:55 in this. Why is my computer not happy? Oh no, just because it's got it there. Oh. In the corner doesn't mean that it's actually 10:55, even though it sets itself. I guess everybody's IP is wrong. No. We're just going to cut that little piece out there. And you know what we'll do? We'll tell you that it's actually, what was it? 10:25? Let's see, what are the RCMP are saying? Right here. Oh, yes. 10:25 at the fire hall. On 2 accounts. Sorry. No. Not 10:25. 10:55. Did I see your message about the military? I don't know if that's directed towards me, JC. Good initials. Great initials. JC, Jesus Christ, is my Savior, is my inspiration for life. We need to pool up our money, buy up some land, start our own gardens. You see, that's true. I do agree with being able to support ourselves and sustain ourselves, but I also am not going to give up on people. We got to keep doing it. Running off in the bush. I said that the other day, that Self-Reliance channel. I remember watching it and I was like, this is really well done. Very, very professional. How in the wintertime, he's able to snowshoe and there's cameras in front of him and there's cameras behind him and there's no footprints in the snow. And I'm like, I don't think so. So I said that and somebody responded, yeah, I never noticed that before. And I said, because I realized what YouTube was doing. They push these channels, right? And it's good knowledge to have, to be able to take care of ourselves. And it is important. I totally agree. But what they're trying to say to people is surrender, run away, hide by yourself. You don't need to, you give up on your fellow man. I don't know. I don't do that. I don't give up on people. Never going to give up. About the vaccination stories, Trump and Trudeau. I didn't, I missed that. Is that from a quasi-credible media source? And what am I looking for? Am I going to just find it? Vaccinations. Trump. Trudeau. News. Pump more funds. God, they just get us every which way. Eh? So good. They're so well. It's always about the money. Doesn't mean anything. It's totally worthless. It always has been. But it's a tool to further enslave people. The people at the top don't give a fuck about the money because they invented it. They own it. But the whole game of coronavirus, aside from the fucking trauma and all the other garbage that goes along with it, is the money, the debt. It's all about debt. More debt, debt. That's why they keep throwing these fucking fantastic programs at you. Go and get free money. Don't. How many people, are going to want to go back to work when this is said and done? There's going to be people literally who don't want to. There's going to be people who are, well, I don't have to. I mean, I can just get free money. There's going to be people who are like, I'm afraid to go back to work because I'm going to get sick. They're still in this mindset that this affects younger people and people who are just healthy. No, it doesn't. Doesn't kill people. Other things kill people. It's like an AIDS. It's an airborne AIDS. That's my belief. And it affects old people, and it affects people who are really out of shape, and it takes them out, and that's sad. But there's going to be people that are going to be afraid to go back to work. There's people that don't even go out of their house hardly. The world will never be the same. Even if this were to, quote, blow over, which I don't frankly think it will. The military would be overseeing. Okay, I want to see what JC is saying here. I don't follow. Grizzly, what are you doing, buddy? How you doing, sir? All is said and done. What have you arrived at for the reason for all the lies? To cover up all the incompetence or more than that? It is definitely a cover-up of their incompetence, 100%. That this was a beast that they were well aware of prior to the situation even happening. But as soon as it exploded, the RCMP were terrified about how this would come out. And that they didn't deal with it, and then it was just about saving face, and it cost lives, lots and lots of lives. But those were orders from above. So, I don't know how to describe it in a nutshell, but there's other things going on, most certainly, and lots of lying. And I think that there were deaths that were not attributable to Mr. Wardman, at least in the case of possibly Stevenson and probably Weber. Weber is a real mystery. So, but the silver tractor that's running around in Brookfield, get out of here, and mill for 2 minutes before he dies. Wardman dies. Nah, bullshit. They were. I feel for them in the sense that the ground officers didn't know who they were going after. There was a lot of incompetence going on, and they didn't know. And that must have been really terrifying. But, It pushed some people past the limit, the people who opened fire on the fire hall. And I think people who probably offed Stevenson and Weber. But yeah, we're never gonna probably see that unless we sue. But I'm gonna keep going on it. But it's good to see you. Good to see you, sir. Wait till you start digging into the CF. Oh, the snowbirds had an accident. What was with this plane stuff? I still haven't quite got it. Like the Blue Angels, they were doing it too, right? Down in the United States. Planes flying all over the place. And we got snowbirds up here flying all over the place. Who is it? I saw some of those responses because I think Trudeau was tweeting about it, and he's like, oh, this will bring the country together. And people are like, just normal people. I know that there were liberals in there and stuff too. And they're like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? Why are you flying planes all over the place? That has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. Doesn't matter about if you got COVID going and all this other stuff happening. You got shootings. Why do we care about planes flying over the country? You could probably save the fuel, but it's a real distraction. Survivor. No brainer. Let's get lost in the stuff. You sent me shit on Twitter. Wow. You sent me shit on Twitter. I don't know. I don't know if I want to look at that. That sounds not so good. She was the journalist. Okay, this is totally unverified at this point in time, meaning for me. So I will share it, and I will go through it at some point here. Who saw this tweet? The spelling of coastal. That's exactly... Oh, Q stuff. Okay. Okay. Results by Jewish Geometra. Captain Casey was a well-respected journalist before she joined the military to serve her country. This was the pilot that perished today during the Kamloops air show. She was a journalist before her captain, Snowbirds. Maybe she knew something that no one wanted leaked. I don't know. I'll have to look at it, that's for sure. I will definitely have to look at it. I will have to look at it. I'm not a big believer in Q. I'll be honest with you. I've seen some good stuff here and there, but for the most part, I think again this is more of the trust us, we'll take care of you. And I really don't like that. I'm not a person about trusting other people, frankly. I like to believe people are good, but I'm not going to trust that everything is just going to rectify itself on its own when I'm not willing to do anything myself. I'm just going to be, trust us, sit back. The kids in the tunnels will come out. No, I don't think so. The people that will bring that out are the people, ourselves. But I do like how it's woken up some normies. Sit tight and don't do anything. Exactly. It's just another level of psychological warfare. Lull you into sleep. But there is interesting stuff there, that's for sure. I do follow it a little bit here and there. Hear from Paulie every once in a while and stuff like that. So, and there is good stuff there. There's just so much mess, but we clean up the mess. We don't trust the system. My belief. I don't know about you guys, but clean your own household, then start working on the community around you and get yourselves in a better state. But the government's not going to do it. NGOs aren't going to do it. No. And Q and the powers that in the deep state are most certainly not going to do it. They're owned. It's all owned. It's just community. Yep. The way it was before seemed to work out okay. I mean, not that it was ever great shit. This attack has been on humanity for a very, 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 very long time. I would say since Jesus has been gone anyway. It was going on before that, and that's why he came. We'll come back to it, but that's us that has to clean it up and make it better. Anyway, I won't. Ivanka is using every evil that she can find. One could recon her to a modern-day Medusa with every type of magic, including computer mind control, nanotechnology, making humanity slaves. Ivanka. Titus 1:10 through 16. Titus 1:10 through 16. The answers are there. Anyways, check this out. Happens to be the hotspots. JC. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Yeah, exactly. So we have the numbers, the sheer brain capacity and stuff, despite all their fucking think tanks, all their monetary control, all of their biotech weapons and wars and garbage. We have the weapons. Mind will defeat it. And we'll fight too, if necessary. But we don't have to go anywhere crazy yet. Just use minds. Anyways, thanks very much. Good to see you, Grizzly. Super. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, maybe at some point. I think we follow each other on Twitter. Maybe we can have a conversation at some point. Let me know. All right. Take care, everybody. I'm going to bid adieu too. Have a good evening.